To our viewers, thank you for tuning in. And today's interview will be on learning and relearning and differentiation in the classroom. And I'm presently interviewing the reading specialist, one of two reading specialists here at the school that I'm student teaching in. And can you please tell us a little bit about yourself before we start?
Okay, I've been teaching in this district for 23 years. I began my career here as a high school special education teacher, and I did that for approximately 9 years before deciding that I wanted to teach elementary. And I went down to the early childhood neurologically impaired class at that time and taught that class for 7 years. And then I went and got my certification in elementary education and started teaching a mainstream third grade class. And I did that for about 6 years while working with in-class support teachers and resource center teachers. I always had the inclusion class with the children who were classified.
Okay.
So I did that. And then last year I had the opportunity to become an assistant principal. And unfortunately, with the budget last year, my position was cut. And so here I am as the reading specialist, as one of the reading specialists in the building.
Oh, okay. Wow. That's a very
diverse.
Yes, a diverse kind of experiences that you've had. So can you just describe to me what is a normal day in the life of reading specialist here at school?
Okay. Well, we see in our program approximately 45 students a week. And we have them split so that we both see every grade level from grades 1 through 5. And some of the students we pull out, and some of the students we push in the classroom to work with. And the number of students that we work with at a time varies depending on reading level and other needs that the students may have.
Okay.
So we also, in addition, this year have become more of a coach for the teachers as well. So not only do we support the students and help the students make success, but we also try to help the teachers be as successful as they can in the teaching of their reading and writing workshops by providing them with any resources they may need, updating them on any professional development that we may go to and have to report back to them. We use a lot of data to drive the instruction, so we will primarily, I'm the data analyst on our team. And so what I do is I look at the teachers' spreadsheets and give them a lot of feedback, sorting the data based on student reading levels and which children are meeting grade level expectations, which children are not meeting or exceeding grade level expectations. And then we help them work with students accordingly.
Okay.
So
Wow.
that's primarily what our responsibilities are. And for the most part, I'm teaching 7 periods a day. And like I said, either small group, individual, push in, or pull out.
Okay. So can you describe to me the difference between push in and pull out students?
Well, the students who I push in the classroom for are usually the students who are partially proficient. And so they are they're usually 1 or 2 levels below grade level. And they also are able to maintain their focus within the classroom while we're working in a group.
Okay.
If I have students that are more than 2 or 3 levels below reading level for that grade, then I usually pull them out and work with them individually or with one other student, and I usually see them on average 5 times a week.
Okay.
So it's pretty intense instruction when I'm pulling students out.
Okay. Wow. So then for the pull-out situation, when you have more than one student, are they on the same level academically?
They're usually on the same reading level independently. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes they might be one level apart. But then what I like to do is I guide the instruction at the next level. So usually, for example, if a student is reading at an independent level J, I would instruct them at a level K.
Okay.
Because K is a little bit more difficult, but because I'm guiding them through the reading and not just expecting them to go and do it on their own, I push them to that next level of text so that then they can develop those skills and then eventually move up to that level independently. So that's the way the process works. We instruct them one level higher than what they can do independently.
Okay.
Sometimes, however, I might have a student with who's an I with a student who's a J. And, depending on what I'm teaching, I will either instruct them at a J or at a K. So I may or may not push them.
Okay.
Usually when I'm working on comprehension, I try to use a text that's a little bit harder. When I'm trying to increase fluency, I'll use a text that's a little bit easier.
Right. Okay.
So it varies.
Okay. So that's an example of differentiation with two specific students, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow, that's great. So there are some cliches that may be attached to your discipline. Ones that I would imagine are, that these are the students that maybe have had dysfunctional learning experiences in the normal classroom, so they give you these students. So what are the cliches that are attached to your discipline?
I think that the students that I work with are not necessarily the students that are difficult to work with in the classroom.
Oh, okay.
Some of them are very hardworking, conscientious students. They're just students that are struggling with reading for one reason or the other. Some just simple decoding skills. Others, we have a large English language learner population in our building. So a lot of our students also need vocabulary building, and that impacts their ability to comprehend text because they're not familiar with a lot of vocabulary. So those particular students may not necessarily be struggling academically for the same reasons that other students may be struggling academically.
Okay.
It's more of a vocabulary issue with them. But I think too, we do a lot of work behind the scenes also to prepare the students in terms of data analysis and making sure that they're getting the best instruction that they can.
Wow. Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's great. So, the environment that you have in your classroom is definitely an important thing because, I mean, I would imagine that there are some maybe confidence issues that the kids are working through as well. So, what kind of learning environment do you build in your classroom?
I have always prided myself on creating a very comfortable, non-threatening climate where anybody who comes into my room, be it here in a small group setting or when I was teaching in a regular classroom setting, students never feel afraid to take a risk. I let them know that this is really a safe place to be. I'm not here to judge them. Nobody here knows everything. We're all here to get our needs met. And for student A, that might be by me giving them more literal questions in order for them to be successful. For student B, it might be, me using more pictures and vocabulary to make them comprehend and make them successful. So anybody who comes in here knows that they may not necessarily get what the person next to them is getting, but that everybody is getting what they need, and they're not afraid to volunteer, they're not afraid to take risks. They know that they're not here to be judged, and that whatever they do, as long as they do their best, is fine. And that's the kind of environment I like to set up for them, so that they will take those risks and they will succeed, and and understand that everybody's different and everybody learns in a different way. So
that's great. So in order to set up this environment, do you well, you give positive praise, I'd imagine, and what else do you do to make them feel safe enough to trust you in a sense?
I try to establish a rapport with the kids right from the beginning. I like to really get to know them. I like to get to know them on a personal level. I like to get to know what their interests are, so that it's not all business, And
Yeah, that's
so
important.
exactly, and it helps me also to plan for them, because it helps me to know what types of books they might be interested in, if they like baseball, or if they love soccer, or if they dance, or things like that. Then I try to find books that are high interest as well. And like I said, I also, I feel like it breaks the ice when I pick them up, if I'm pulling them out and we're walking down the hall and I know they had a soccer game, or I know they had a recital, or I know, that they went somewhere over the weekend, So I think that all of that is important to make them just feel like people, and that I'm interested not only in how well they read, but, what good
and their other
citizens they are. And
yes.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's really nice. Okay. Um, so, talking about learning, how do you determine the learning style of your students?
Um, well, I talk to the teachers about what they see in the students. I observe student behaviors. I use running record assessments to assess their performance. And I just, constantly assess and reassess and watch them and see whether or not they're successful with the modes that I present information in, and whether or not they might need something more than that.
Wow. Okay. So there's no survey or anything that you use?
Not that I use, no.
Okay.
No, it's more observation and communication with the classroom teacher.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So, you talked earlier about how you are a teacher coach as well. So, how often do you keep in contact with the homeroom teacher in order to let them know progress and victories and what they need help in too?
I usually, I definitely touch base with the teachers every day. Every teacher that I work with, in terms of having their students, or any teacher that teaches language arts, whether or not I have their students, we are constantly in contact with. If there's a teacher that I don't work with their students, then the other specialist is in contact with them. But we are in contact with the teachers on a daily basis. Even when we pull students out of the classroom to work with them, I always walk back with the students and report back to the teachers about how successful the students were, or whether or not I was concerned about something, and are they seeing the same type of thing within the classroom. And I'm constantly, like I said, assessing and reassessing. And, that either increases my level of service or decreases my level of service in some aspects. I have exited a couple of students this year who have made excellent progress, and they've, achieved where they should be in terms of reading level expectations for their grade. So there's no need for me to intervene anymore. But what I do, like I said, is just talk with the teachers and, sit down and plan for the students in terms of whether or not we feel that they're making movement, and, what we should do.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.